Welcome back to my inner sanctum. I'm your hostess, Countess Elizabeth, mistress of the macabre. And very strangely, I received footage from one of you viewers. I always love to hear about local legends. Today's legend comes from northern Georgia, the haunted Lake Lanier. So let us strap into our seats and visit the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains so we can explore a haunting and satisfy our grotesque curiosity. Over here. And legend has it that a ghost of a long-dead woman roams this lake in a flowing blue dress. Mysterious arms reach out for swimmers from the watery depths. Angry spirits call people home to submerged graves. These and other spooky tales have haunted Lake Lanier in the foothills of North Georgia mountains for decades. To many Georgians, the large serpentine lake northeast of Atlanta is a recreational hotspot, popular for boating and water sports. But supernatural lore and urban legends around the lake have found a receptive audience on social media, where they have found legions of believers. The lake was created in the 1950s by flooding a valley of communities that contained a cemetery, fueling beliefs that the lake is cursed. Historians say that some unmarked graves and other structures were swallowed up by the waters. Residents living near the lake feel its ominous presence. More than 200 people have died in swimming and boating accidents on the lake since 1994, adding to its dark history. The stories of mysterious underwater sightings are eerie, especially during the Halloween season. But the true backstory of Lake Lanier, built over an underwater ghost town, is just as interesting. The lake was mired in controversy from the start. The controversy surrounding the lake, as described by author and historian Lisa Russell, started long before its construction. Before the land was buried in the water, it was lush and fertile, with rabbits and squirrels scampering around. Communities thrived with fancy names like Castleberry Bottom, Russell said. Then came the U.S. Army Corps engineers, which wanted to create a lake to provide Atlanta and surrounding counties with power and water. The government offered locals money for their farmland. Most of it had been in families for generations, making it almost impossible to put a price tag on it, said Russell, a writing instructor at Georgia's Northwestern Technical College and author of several books on the local towns of northern Georgia. The Army Corps flooded farmland bought from hundreds of families to create Lake Lanier. At first, the government assured landowners that they were being paid the true value of their land and the buildings. But residents found it hard to put a price on generations of memories. A host of emotions accompanied the talk of relocation. Anger, resentment, fear, anxiety, bewildered, and apprehension. To them, the land was priceless. Eventually, some 700 families sold a total of 56,000 acres to the government, which built a dam on the Chattahoochee River to form Lake Lanier. As their land was filled with water in 1956, locals jammed the roads and bridges to watch as history vanished before their eyes. Whatever they had abandoned was covered by the rising waters. Even the lake's naming was conscientious, Russell said. Some local officials wanted to name it after Georgia politicians. Others sought to name it after a legendary football coach. Eventually, they decided to name it after Sidney Lanier, an 18th century Georgia poet who wrote Song of the Chattahoochee. Named for the poet Sidney Lanier, the lake was built in the 1950s to provide electric power, water, and flood protection. Some families later regretted their decision once they realized they couldn't survive on what the government offered. But the lake brought multiple benefits, including flood protection from the Chattahoochee, which flows west of Atlanta. Today, Lake Lanier has about 625 billion gallons of water, equivalent to 950,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools, and they yield mysterious stories. To prepare the land to be filled with water, the Army Corps of Engineers demolished or removed anything they considered dangerous. They uprooted trees and hauled them away. But as you can see here, some remain. Barns and wooden structures that could float or endanger watercraft were moved, which is good. Nobody wants to be swimming and caught up in those things. Major infrastructure such as bridges and water intakes were relocated, but the community had 20 cemeteries on the property as well. While the Corps identified and moved marked graves, it is likely some unmarked ones were inadvertently left behind, said Cesar Yabor, a spokesman for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The technological capability to identify and verify unmarked burial sites through subsurface scanning and other means was far less robust 70 years ago, said Yarbor. While the Corps made every effort at the time to locate any unmarked burials, he added, the limited capabilities of the time make it probable that unanticipated finds of human remains are possible, whether that's antebellum and Civil War period or Native American origin from pre-colonial and ancient times. So it is possible that Native American remains could still be on the site as well. An old auto racing track near Gainesville was also left behind. It remains at the lake's bottom, although Corps removed its bleachers so they wouldn't float to the surface and cause a hazard. Other concrete block foundations of small buildings were also submerged. Some people have claimed to hear the church bells from the sunken church. However, not so much structure was known to be left behind due to the height issue. If it had a steeple, well, that would be a floating wood issue, Jabor said. Over the decades, when Lake Lanier's waters dropped during the drought, submerged roads, tire parts, and other artifacts have been exposed, says Russell. Russell believes unmarked graves were left behind because they were not easily identified and there were no family to claim them. Over the years, divers have reported creepy sightings beneath the murky waters. Some tell stories of freaky catfish as big as Volkswagens. YouTube is filled with divers showing videos of sunken houseboats and piles of debris. Between 1994 and October 2020, 203 people have died in drownings and boating incidents at Lake Lanier, according to Mark McKinnon, Georgia Department of Natural Resources. In 2017, a longtime diver, Buck Buchanan, told local media that he sometimes felt body parts in the lake during many of his excursions. You'd reach out in the dark, and you'd feel an arm or a leg, and it doesn't move, he said. But that has not affected the lake's popularity. With about 12 million visitors last year, Lake Lanier was one of the most visited Corps-built lakes in the nation, said Yabor of the Army Corps of Engineers, which operates 464 lakes in 43 states. Lake Lanier's size and popularity contributes to the tall tales, and its high visitation rate also means more fatalities. While we recognize that urban legends can develop over time, first and foremost is our concern for public safety, Jabor said. So we certainly do not want to create an inviting atmosphere for the curious to come out to Lake Lanier for urban legend exploration or similar risky acts. Well, it seems that there are people that come out there just to investigate. One of Lake Lanier's most popular legends involves a car wreck. According to the story, a Ford sedan carrying two women careened off a bridge in April 1958 and tumbled into the lake. Some say the ghost of a woman dubbed the Lady of the Lake wanders the bridge at night in a blue dress, lost and restless. She has also become known as the Blue Woman. One local who lives near the dam had one terrifying experience. One night, when I was driving to work down the dam at 3 a.m., I saw a blonde woman with pale skin wearing a blue dress who was walking strange in the middle of the road. I thought there was a car broken down and she was trying to walk to the local gas station to get some assistance. But as I kept on driving, I noticed no wreck in that area. I had to swerve around her, and when I looked at my rearview mirror, she was gone. I didn't know about the local legend until recently, but this incident stood out in my mind because of how strange it was, and due to the hour of the day. Usually there are no other people in such a wooded area. When you are at the lake, it has an eerie feeling as the wind whips up the water. Maybe down in the lake below there are bodies of those who got stuck on some debris and drowned. Sometimes you wonder if there's a body out there floating as you swim in the shallows. Well, that was truly a grotesque tale. Thank you, viewer, for the footage. Again, if anyone has any requests, I do requests. I didn't know about this haunting lake, so it's always fun to hear about local legends around where you live, dear viewers. Thank you again for tuning in, and may the souls of the drowned swimmers rest in peace. Thank you for watching the video. Subscribe, like, and share if you would also like to keep exploring our grotesque curiosity. We will meet again in the darkness of the night.